Yo, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. It's another day. It's 10:02 a.m. Pacific time. It's January 27th, 2026. Let's get to it. The communication rules Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos always followed, and most people ignore. Your listener will care about your ideas if you talk about what they care about. Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos talked so people listened. Customers don't care about speeds and feeds. Jobs will remind his teams at Apple. People don't just want to buy computers, they want to know what they can do with them. Jobs instinctively understood the key to effective presentations. Put the audience at the center of the story. Your listener will care about your ideas if you talk about what they care about. In my communication classes at Harvard Executive Education, I introduce audience centric communication as a system where the speaker puts the listener first. If you're watching a boring PowerPoint, there's a good chance the speaker is too focused on the information they want to get across rather than the content you're most interested in. Don't be the boring speaker. Follow these four principles of audience centric. Start with the audience and work backward. Fundamental approach is to start with the customers and work backwards, Jeff Bezos wrote in his 2009 Amazon shareholder letter. The principle of working backwards has stuck at Amazon ever since. When I was researching my book, The Bezos Blueprint, I learned that nearly every major product of feature Amazon released, from Kindle to Prime, started like a press release. The press release exercise would change the flow and the content of your presentations. When most people prepare presentations, they create slides, add data, and decide what they want to say. Does this sound familiar? At Amazon, presenters are taught to flip the process. They start by writing a one-page announcement, a mock press release, as if the project were finished and then the presentation had been delivered. It's meant to answer questions your audience would be interested in, knowing such as, what problem does this solve? How will this information, product, solution, idea make my life better? Why should I care? Once you start thinking like your audience, it's be easier to create a presentation they'll find interesting and useful. Stick to what the audience wants and needs to know. When I wrote a book about TED Talks, organizers told me that most speakers ask the same question. How can I tell the audience everything I know in just 18 minutes? You can probably guess the answer. You don't. Great communication is an act of selection, not compression. Select the information the audience needs and leave the rest for another time. If you find yourself rushing through a PowerPoint because you're running out of time, then you likely included too much information that pleased you, without taking the time to think about what the audience really wants to know. Tell stories to engage emotions. Neuroscientists have found that as species, humans are wired for stories. They like to exchange and consume information through narratives. As far as I know, your audience is part of the same species, so why would they be any different? They don't just want to hear information in the form of facts, figures, numbers, and charts. They want to hear stories. You don't have to be a creative writer or novelist to give the audience what they want. Simply incorporate a few examples in the form of case studies or personal anecdotes to support your ideas. Deliver the information followed by a story. For example, you might say, if you adopt my plan, we'll reduce our expenses next year by 30%. It's been done. Just look at what happened when company XYZ did something similar. When you provide examples in the form of narrative, you're no longer just a presenter, you're a storyteller. Reduce cognitive load. Your listeners are overwhelmed with information. Like you, they have too many emails flooding their inbox and too little time to answer them. They have too much content competing for their attention and too little time to consume every or even a fraction of it. Your job as a communicator is to give your audience a break. You can reduce what scientists call cognitive load by giving your reader or listener fewer things to remember and less jargon to interpret. In neuroscience literature, it's well known that most people can remember 3 or 4 messages in a short amount of time. So stick to 3 main points, not 23. Reduce the jargon, better yet eliminate it entirely. You can use words that force people to use mental energy, you're adding to the cognitive load. Say it simply. For examples, this phrase adds to the mental load. We need to optimize for cross-functioning synergies. This phrase reduces it. We need our teams to work better together. Put your audience first and they will put you in the rare and special category of people they want to hear from. Again, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Follow me on Instagram, Studio11. Follow me on X, the Studio 2020. I like to say Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you on the next one.